Trigonometry, Chapter 5, Trigonometric Identities, Section 2, Verifying Trigonometric Identities, Video 2, Verifying an Identity, Example 1. This series is based on content from Pearson's Trigonometry 12th edition by Lial, Hornsby, Schneider, and Daniels. In the previous video, we reviewed some key algebraic maneuvers we will encounter as we verify trig identities: factoring, adding fractions by getting common denominators, splitting fractions across their numerators' terms, multiplying binomials, and multiplying both sides of a fraction by a conjugate. In this video and all remaining videos in the series, we will demonstrate how to verify trig identities. Unfortunately, there is not one sequence of steps that will always succeed in verifying a trig identity. For each one, we will focus on key strategies based on the task at hand. For example, let's verify the identity cotangent of theta over cosecant of theta equals cosine of theta. Now, a couple of key strategies to keep in mind that are somewhat universal is number one, if there's a more complicated side, you should start with it and try to turn it into the less complicated side. And number two, if you have no idea where to begin, turn everything into sine and cosine. We can do that because of quotient and reciprocal identities. So we're going to verify this one by trying to turn everything into sine and cosine. Of course, this means you have to know your fundamental identities. So, do you know what cotangent is equal to in terms of a quotient? Cotangent is cosine of theta over sine of theta. Do you know what cosecant of theta is in terms of reciprocal? It's 1 over sine of theta. At this point, we've done an algebraic maneuver, a trigonometric maneuver twice. We used a quotient identity and we used a reciprocal identity. And now we're going to do an algebra move. The algebra move is to divide two fractions. You multiply the first by the reciprocal of the second. So we're going to multiply cosine over sine times sine over 1. And then algebraically, the signs cancel, leaving cosine over 1, which of course is just cosine. That was our goal. Our goal was to turn it into cosine. So to review the strategies in this one, number one, you should start with a more complicated side and try to transform it into the less complicated side. And number two, which is universal but not always the most practical technique, everything can be written in terms of sine and cosine. Tangent and cotangent can use quotient identities. Secant and cosecant can use reciprocal identities. And of course, sine and cosine are already sine or cosine. All right, that's it for this one. Cool.